So you're throwing a party, eh? First off, where's my invite? Second, I hope you're bringing a JBL PartyBox, but which one should you roll up with? The Stage 320 or the new PartyBox 520? They might look pretty similar, but there are definitely some key differences under the hood and when it comes to connection options, so let's get this party started. Obviously, the 320 and the 520 share a very similar design language. From the tough plastic exterior to the telescopic handle and wheels, IPX4 water resistance rating, the customizable party lights, and even an identical control panel up top. So what is the difference? Well, the 520 is, bigger. While the 320 is rated for 240 watts of output, the 520 is rated for 400 watts of output. They use the same size 1-inch dome tweeters. How'd that get there? But while the 320 uses 6.5-inch woofers, the 520 is rocking bigger 7.5-inch woofers. So yeah, the 520 delivers noticeably more output and bass response than the 320, so who says an inch can't make a difference, right? Now, with great power comes great responsibility, and by responsibility, I mean weight. Naturally, the 520 is the heavier of the two, tipping the scales at 56 pounds, while the 320 is a more manageable 36 pounds. Something to consider is where you're going to be using your party speaker. Just the garage or the backyard? Weight isn't a big deal. Or do you plan on hauling it to the beach, putting it in the back of your truck for your next tailgater? Different story. I gotta say, I do wish these speakers had handles built into the sides. It would make it a bit easier when you want to lift them up, prop them up on a table or something, but can't have everything. Now, when it comes to controls, the 520 and the 320 feature the exact same control panel, which you'll find on the top of the enclosure. You get playback controls, lighting controls, and backlit buttons for Bluetooth, Auracast, and bass boost. But let's be real, who's turning off bass boost? You? You're turning off bass boost? Get out of my party! Get out! Sorry about that. You also get some assignable DJ effect buttons for the Let's Party and the... Now, my 320 review, I said these buttons were mostly just for fun, for the kids to mash on, but some guy got really mad at me in the comments saying they're for adults too. So go ahead, mom and dad, you can wham away to your heart's delight. Lastly, there is a set of microphone controls if you want to get your karaoke on. It's a basic EQ with some optional echo, which is actually reverb. There is a difference, JBL. Now, in terms of connectivity, this is where things start to get interesting, and where the 520 starts to shine with some notable advantages over the 320. Wirelessly, it's the same. Both have Bluetooth 5.4 and multi-point. But take a look at the rear input panel. On the 320, you get dual 1/4-inch inputs for a mic or a guitar, an aux-in, and the ability to daisy chain with other speakers. There's also a USB-A port that can either charge your phone or play music from a thumb drive. Great. The 520, on the other hand, upgrades to dual XLR 1/4-inch combo jacks, which is a great addition and definitely addresses one of my main criticisms I had with the 320. Now you can easily hook up a DJ mixer or just plug in a regular old Shure SM58 with a standard XLR cable. I'm also glad to see that the USB-A port has been replaced with a USB-C port, which not only charges your phone, but it can also play audio including lossless formats. Now, lossless audio sounds exciting, but there's more to that story. I have a whole other video on why that may not even matter, which you can check out right here. All right, let's talk about app support. Again, both the 520 and the 320 offer pretty much the same experience in the JBL PartyBox app. You get full control over the lighting effects, access to some EQ options, firmware updates, and settings for things like stereo pairing with an identical model, or party together mode if you happen to have both of these bad boys and want to sync them up for synchronized mono playback. Sorry, what's that? You're saying your party goes all night long? And what about battery life? Well, we've got some options here. First, if you're at home, you can run these suckers off AC power, which is the best way to squeeze as much output from them as possible. Otherwise, the Stage 320 is rated for 18 hours of playback on a single charge, while the 520 states 15 hours. Now that might seem backwards, but it makes sense. It's trying to push 400 watts of output. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. The battery's doing its best, okay? Of course, battery life is always dependent on how loud you're cranking your speaker, how bass heavy your tunes are, and if you're rocking that light show or not. You certainly won't be getting those numbers at full volume blasting Sandstorm before the big game, although that sounds pretty fun. Now, here's the real party trick. Both of these speakers have swappable battery packs. So if you're not a liar and your off-grid parties do go all night long, you can grab a second battery from JBL, keep it charged, and avoid the ultimate party foul. of letting your speaker die. Just a heads up though, they use different batteries and aren't interchangeable. Whoops, that's in backwards. Oh shit. No. Don't do this at home, kids. Shit. This is what happens if you put the battery in wrong. Talk about party foul. Oh my gosh. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah, we did it. Okay, so enough with the specs. What's the difference in sound? Well, both of these speakers bring the bass, no questions asked. But the 520 is bigger. With larger woofers and more output, the low end naturally hits a little harder and fills more space. I don't like using the term chest-thumping bass at all, but testing out the PartyBox 520 indoors with some synthwave or EDM, it certainly applies. If you're just jamming with friends in the backyard or the basement, or portability is an important factor in your decision, the 320 still gets nice and loud. It sounds great. But if you want to move some air, shake some patio furniture, the 520 gives you that extra oomph you'll want. It really just comes down to where you're partying and how much output you need. No need to really overthink this one. For reference, JBL says the 320 can fill a tennis court sized area with sound. The 520, I took it out to the alleyway behind our building and cranked some AC/DC at full volume. Naturally, every head turned. My coworker Shun walked away pretending he didn't know who I was, and I looked up to see the office workers staring down from nearby buildings and wondering, hey, is that a JBL PartyBox Stage 320? I'm just kidding. They were looking at me like I was a hooligan, so yeah, this thing gets plenty loud. So, which PartyBox should you buy? Now these things aren't cheap. The 320 goes for $599, while the 520 is priced at $899. But if you know JBL, they love running sales. Don't think that buying two 320s on sale and running them in stereo isn't an option. Hey? Hey, party pants? Sorry. Seriously though, again, it really comes down to how you party. If you're hosting smaller get-togethers, want something more portable, go with the 320. If you're throwing bigger parties, spending more time outdoors, want those XLR connections for your DJ equipment, or maybe you just want the loudest goddamn thing to annoy your neighbors with, go with the 520. Of course, you can learn more about both these speakers by reading my full reviews at SoundGuys.com, and if you're thinking that the 320 might be the way to go, I also have a video on this guy which you can watch right here. Happy partying! Said happy partying.